And what we found is that most people will choose to create a relationship with somebody who is exactly like the parent that loved them the least. If we're in a relationship, it should be because it makes our lives greater. Most people get into relationship so they can have a huge number of their choices now on autopilot based on the relationship. What choices am I hoping to have as a result of this relationship? And what choices do I know I am eliminating by choosing this relationship? Every movie, every book, every story we're told by anybody ever, we're sold this idea of the romantic fantasy notion of what will occur. And most people would rather be limited and together than unlimited and not with someone.
Trophy wife and Dr. Dain here.
That's right.
Princess Dr. Dain here,
Princess,
emotionally intelligent, 20-book best-time-selling author. Dr. Dain here is here today. And and Dain, honestly, I'm really grateful for you coming on and talking about this, because it's a really interesting topic. It's controversial, and it's taught me a lot about myself, and I've been doing actually a lot of classes on it, and it just is like creating a level of like softness and kindness in a lot of ways, which the whole topic itself is actually kind of, it's the access consciousness version of what a trophy wife is. It's actually the willingness to be kind to the man in your life, and you can be a trophy wife, a trophy daughter, a trophy friend, and just actually like being present, being aware, and actually contributing to somebody. It's not the idea of somebody like in a pink velour bunny suit at the Playboy Mansion, you know, who like is married to a rich older man, which is what our normal image of trophy wife is. But it's like, one thing that Gary has said about it is a trophy wife always gives in, and by giving in, she always gets what she wants. And so it's a very different way of looking at things, and I'm so excited to have a conversation with you about it.
Me too. And isn't it interesting? Within anything that is judged, there is unseen power. And so if you'll notice, like people that aren't easily drawn into drama, they get judged by others that think drama is a source of connection and power. And yet the person that's not drawn into the drama actually has the power, because they're not running around like a chicken with their head cut off in the situation. They're observing it, so they have choice. And so truly being a trophy wife, and so trophy wife is, of course, something that's dynamically judged. But when you do it from a place of not judgment and you see the strength behind what's being judged, it gives you an immense amount of power and capacity to create your life rather than suffer your life and make your life the effect of other people's judgments.
That's beautiful. That's exactly what it is. And like this whole topic came about because I was on a telecall with Gary, and he was talking about how he's having a meeting with these lawyers, and he wanted to set the stage to let the lawyers know that he wasn't going to deal with this issue in a normal way. And I said to him, well, when I'm with people, how do I set the stage so that people don't deal with me in a normal way? And he's like, well, if they ask you about yourself or what you do, tell them I'm a trophy wife. And that's where the whole thing came from.
Boing, boing, boing. Can you just get the sense of their little robot springs springing out of their head when you say that with glee?
Totally.
What a pattern interrupt. That is so good. I'm a trophy wife, and you're totally cool with it. And they're like, what? Who says that?
Yeah, exactly. And it was so weird because I started going out and telling people the first time I was at my coming out of yoga class, and another girl was like, so like, nice to meet you. Like, what do you do? Like, and I'm like, am I really going to say this to her with a straight face? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I'm like, oh, I'm a trophy wife. And she's like, she's like, oh, my boyfriend does cocaine, and he's kind of lazy, and he's my age, and she's like, I think maybe I should break up with him. Like, could you tell me more about like how you created being a trophy wife? Like, she was so inspired by it.
That is so awesome. In one sentence, right? Like 2 words change this person's entire reality. What a friggin' gift. And it's also a gift in not buying society's point of view about it. Because I don't know about you, but the more I learn about society, the more I realize society sucks. Yeah. Why would you want that point of view? It's all based on judgment and fitting in a way that doesn't make anybody happy. Because I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of time trying to fit in, and those are the unhappiest years of my life. And the happiness has occurred as I have given up trying to fit in, given up trying to fit into the right box, and started to live instead from a different place.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So can you talk a little bit about like the dynamics, like the space and the peace that's available in relationships? Like if we're looking at trophy wife, like, and we're applying it to a relationship, like for me, it's showed me a lot about how to be kinder, how to be softer. I have spent most of my time with Anthony, my husband, like some of it. And it's like, this has been a great thing to explore, because I've just had to like revisit, like, what is kindness in a relationship? What does it actually mean to be a trophy wife? And I know that this is something that you have wrote books on, something that you talk about a lot. And I'd love to just hear like your perspective on like, what is a different reality with relationships when people actually have allowance and are committed and kind and like with somebody, rather than always trying to find the wrongness of their partner.
Oh, that. Well, let's realize that coming out of judgment and right and wrong of us and our partner is sort of the fundamental. And what I love about this conversation about how to be a trophy wife is, if you look at how much energy you personally used to spend trying to avoid being a trophy wife,
Mm-hmm.
and in that you avoid trying to be the gift that a lady actually is.
Right.
And what that creates is the gentleman that you're with cannot be the gentleman that he is, because he has no way of being that. If you're not willing to be the lady that you are, you can't receive the gift that the gentleman can be. And so you're both from a non-space, actually, from a rather solid reality of judgment, which is what we grew up with, trying to be something and do something that's usually about getting the other partner to be and do something to create a particular result. Oh, I have that new thing on. What's so funny? Okay. Oh, there's all kinds of them you can do. And
it was the right time.
I'm just going to shoot fireworks, with what except when I try to do it, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
But that's what's supposed to make fireworks, right? That. Anyway.
Oh man.
And I'm so ADHD, I forgot what I was saying. No. So what happens is we have learned these solidified ways of being together, and we learn how to be with others based on our parents primarily, and our families, of course, by seeing how they be with each other. And what we found is that most people will choose to create a relationship with somebody who is exactly like the parent that loved them the least. Mm-hmm. So we have that. And so here we are with somebody where we're not getting to be us and they're not getting to be them, but we're trying to find the right judgment formula that makes it work better than what we've seen and makes it be the fantasy that we have seen all throughout the world in every movie and every book, and everything is promised us will be the perfection of the fairy tale, which doesn't exist. And then we have all these things that we judge, like trophy wife or or, the male equivalent. There isn't a male equivalent of trophy wife. There's the domineering man or whatever, it's like, and so there's all these boxes that we think must be real, but none of them have to do with what's true for me and how would I like to be. And if we're in a relationship, it should be because it makes our lives greater. I know people hear that and they go, yeah, and they ignore it immediately. But really, if you're in a relationship, there was something you knew that was possible there. You probably didn't do it just to make yourself suffer, You probably did it because there was some gift that you saw in the other person. And that gift starts to occur when we get out of judgment of them. But in order to do that, we've got to get out of judgment of us first. And we've got to start embracing having what we call the 5 elements of intimacy with ourselves, which is where we honor us, trust us, are vulnerable with us, are grateful.
So silly.
This is so good. Are grateful for us, honoring trust, vulnerability, and where we have allowance for us, which is where we don't judge us, where we see what we choose as simply a choice and an interesting point of view. And as we have that, we can start to also have it for our partners. But what it really requires is getting out of all of the boxes and no longer validating that the boxes of reality and the boxes of reality as it relates to relationship that we have bought are, number 1, the only choice. Number 2, are right in any way. Number 3, actually have any value if they're not making us lighter and happier, both individually and together.
Somebody on a call recently asked you, like, Dain, like, how do I not age? How do I have a different reality with aging? And you were like, don't create your body like any person you've ever met or known in your life ever, anywhere. And it's like, I think we can apply that same thing to relationship, because like one of the greatest tools I've learned with relationship from Access is like, what relationship reality am I capable of creating that has never existed before on planet Earth?
That's huge. And you also realize, sorry, I've got a bird feeder and I love birds. It's a new fascination in the last 6 months. It's crazy. And when they're there, I'm like, hi, no matter what else is going on. But so what you're talking about is exactly the thing, which is the beginning of us allowing us to find out what's true for us. Because when you're functioning from what's true for you, it has a lightness to it. It has an ease. It's got a sense of space and everything is okay. And you don't focus on the nitty gritty details of what piss you off about your partner. And you also don't focus on those details about anything in your life, because you're actually living and creating your life. And if we contrast that with what most people do, most people get into relationship so they can have a huge number of their choices now on autopilot based on the relationship. And so what we have is we have all these apparent, they function like autopilot systems where our choice is predetermined at this point based on being in relationship. And then what do? All those places of anger are where we're resenting that we don't have choice, except we chose that specific person, so we would not have specific choices. Totally. And people don't look at it from that place. And if they would, it would be really helpful. Like if people, before they got into a relationship, or if you're in one now, look at before the relationship, you go, okay, what choices am I hoping to have as a result of this relationship? And what choices do I know I am eliminating by choosing this relationship? And if you're already in a relationship, you go, okay, what choices did I think I was getting in this relationship that I don't seem to have? And what choices have I eliminated that I haven't acknowledged?
Ooh, that's definitely some to write down. That's at the 14-minute mark, everyone.
Yep.
You'll want to write those down. Those are amazing.
And if we would look from there, that one line of inquiry, more than almost anything else, would start setting us free, because the only thing that sticks us is a lie. And so what we have is we have all these ideas of which were sold by, once again, every movie, every book, every story we're told by anybody ever. We're sold this idea of the romantic fantasy notion of what will occur. And so we're we go into it thinking we're going to get this, never asking, will I get this? Never looking at, can this person provide this? Can I provide what they're actually looking for, not what they say they're looking for, because people lie. If somebody's talking, they're usually lying. Okay. So it's up to us to be aware of what they're saying energetically, that they're actually communicating with their actions, not their words, and not just their actions, but the energy behind what they're saying. And then if we can recognize that, then we can look and see, will this actually create what I desire? But even before that, most of us have no idea what we desire. We're just going into a relationship. And so here's the other thing is, we have no idea what we desire in a relationship. We're just going into a relationship because we're supposed to, or because we fell into it, or because we wanted to have sex with somebody and they were so cute and attractive. And now we've done it. The first time is for fun. Second time you're in a relationship. Third time you're getting married. And so now we're in that. So there's all these things that are the autopilots. And what happens is you're in a relationship. you're in a relationship. It's so good. I'm going to accept everything I say. I'll figure it out.
I was trying to keep a straight face and move on, but I couldn't. It was funny.
How can you? It's going to be so good when I'm being interviewed on TV, the next time, and I'm like, it's going to be awesome. See if the interviewer can keep a straight face. This will be so good. So if we can recognize then that most of what we have done in relationship is most people choose most of their relationships so that they have fewer choices and don't have to choose as much. Because, I had the last relationship I was in was with somebody who was really wonderful, like somebody I really liked a lot. Okay. And a phenomenal person. And I would have said, there's no way in which, she wants to control anything in my life and all that sort of thing, until I realized how much control we both wanted to do of different aspects that I would have never even thought could exist. And I was sitting there eating lunch one day, and she was, halfway across the country where she lives. And I was going to make some food, and what I was eating, somehow I realized, oh my God, even what I'm eating and how I'm eating is affected by this relationship. I was like, oh my God. And what I realized in that moment is, when you're in a relationship, you are in a relationship. Okay. And every choice you make has to be run through that relationship and its appropriateness or lack of appropriateness based on what you've both created as the structure of relationship.
Wow. That's amazing. And an amazing example of a relationship that actually works is not a sexual relationship. It's your relationship with Gary. And one of the things that he was saying is, and I wrote this question down and I ask it every day, is he said, Dain is like one of the greatest gifts in my life, and Dain is not relevant to me, and I am not relevant to Dain. And so every single day I ask, what would it take for my partner not to be relevant to me? That has changed so much. But that is exactly what you're talking about, is that extreme relevance, that like swimming pool of relevance, complete and total relevance.
Ocean of relevance, actually.
Yes, much bigger than a swimming pool. Yes, a universe of relevance.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. And that's what relationship itself, if you look at the energetic of relationship that way, that's what it is. You become and make the universe relevant. You make this relationship universe relevant, and it's the universe. It becomes your universe in a quite literal sense, meaning that nothing that exists beyond the sphere of that universe, because the universe is, as far as we know, infinite, or so we say. There's probably many universes, and there's probably lots more going on than, but if we can just use, typical thing, universe is infinite, the universe is all there is, right? Well, when you're in a relationship, that's how you create your relationship.
Yeah.
This is the universe of all that is, all that I will receive, all that I will be, all that I will choose. And for those of us interested in personal development and getting greater every day, it's an interesting thing to recognize when you get to that place. And I've seen so many people who have gotten to a place where they are expanding and they are finding their wings and they're starting to soar and they're starting to soar. And there's a moment where it goes beyond where they know they can maintain the relevance of their relationship and their person that they're relating to. And I see them chop their wings off and slam back to the ground so many times. And here's the interesting part about this also is we're so used to not being present with our own actions and choices. And we're so used to not recognizing that if something like that occurs, we choose it, which is also a gift that relationship gives us, is we don't have to believe that we're choosing these things, which is a story for another time that I don't even want to go into. But what will happen is the person that cuts their own wings off so they can maintain the relationship, two things. Number one, that's based on all kinds of boxes, all kinds of presumptive realities, all kinds of pre-conclusions and judgments about what is, because in actuality, I've seen so many people who got there and went, ooh, this could kill my relationship, but you know what? If not, I'm going to die, so I'm going anyway. And I saw then their relationship truly blossom into what it could be. Okay, you and Anthony are an example of that in motion. Okay, his choice, it was where you guys were good and whatever and soaring, and then it got to a point where you guys were like blah 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 blah, and then he went, okay, I got to do something different, and he started soaring, and you were like, wait, and I'm like, hey, you still going to soar even if it means you lose your relationship? And finally, there was one point at which he was congruent with that, and so he did. And then what happened is you were like, wait, where are you going? You mean I can't control you with the fact that, you mean I can't control you into what's comfortable for me based on the fact that we might break up and I might leave you and you don't care anymore and I'm not relevant in that way anymore? Well, fuck you. I want to be where you're being, asshole.
I remember that exact day.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Right there, baby. But that point is the point that most people stop themselves because of everything that we've just talked about. And I'm not going to belabor that point because I know any of you watching who get this, get it. Don't stop yourself for anyone, including you. And that is one of the other things that relationship has been created as, is a safe spot to be limited. And it's like and so it's a very interesting thing to realize the entire world is wired this way. And we'll talk about something different. One of the reasons I'm so grateful to you for creating this podcast is because it allows people to have the thing that so many of them desire, which is being someone's wife, being in a relationship, which is beautiful. And in Access, we often, get a bad rap. People like, Access doesn't like relationship. I'm like, consciousness includes everything, you stupid fucking idiot, even you. Anyway, sorry. Consciousness includes that. That was a joke, by the way. Well, sort of. It's only funny because it's true. Okay. Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing, right? So it's not that we don't desire you to have a relationship. We desire you to have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And what most people do is they would rather settle for mediocre and together, believing that if they're great, they're going to be alone. But when you're truly as great as you are, you don't care about being alone. And then when you don't care about being alone and you don't need somebody, then you can create a truly great creationship.
Right. Whew. I mean, oh crap, the train left the station.
Know that feeling.
Yeah. Oh, I had something really good to say. Darn it. I don't know. What was it? Continue, please. That I'm like I know what I was gonna say. It's like the reason that somebody might think that Access doesn't like relationships is because relationships it is so much work. Like it's endless amounts of work until it's not. And it's like you guys have had this thing of like an Access, like be you. Be the greatness of you. Don't let anybody, don't let yourself put yourself in a box. And relationship is in this reality a really big box. But it does take extreme, if you're going to do it, you got to be in for the ride. And it takes extreme tenacity, extreme courage, and a willingness to look at things about yourself that are really not fun to look at and be present with and just go, okay, I just have to realize that this is what I just did. This is how I function. This is the evil that I am functioning from, and getting to allowance of that. Whew, if that is what it takes to really have a relationship, I think for a lot of people, I don't know, it has for me, but it's that kind of presence is, whew, you gotta be strong.
Yep. And courageous.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. But if you look, and once again, if you look at what we've been sold and what we've been promised, is get in a relationship, it'll solve all your problems. Yay. All you need to do is find somebody that loves you. That way you don't have to worry about ever loving yourself. It's great. Oh yeah, we know that works. Not at all. Oh, by the way, if that's not working for you and you've been together long enough, then just get married. That'll solve the problem. Oh, wait, you're married and that still didn't bring you everything you know it should have? I know, have a child. Great idea. Each one of those is a deeper and deeper coffin, a deeper and deeper hole that you're digging for yourself if you're not making it about you being present in your life. And it's funny because people even think presence is like it's sterile. Well, I'm present, so I just sit here like this, being present. I'm so present. That's not presence, you fucking idiot. Presence is we're going out and thrilled to live your life and wake up every day. And what do I get to do today? What do I get to enjoy today? Who do I get to enjoy today? How much fun can I have today? How much money can I create? How much joy can I bring to the world? How much fun can I have? But let's look at this. Excuse me. Somebody doesn't want me to have this conversation. Oh my God, so good. Let's look at this for a moment. Okay, so we have what we've been promised as a fantasy of what should be that is not possible and not sustainable. Okay.
Yeah.
We have people who are willing to do some work if we have people who are willing to do some work to actually get present with them, get out of judgment of them, get present with their partner, get out of judgment of their partner, get over the projections and expectations and conclusions about the fantasy of what should have just been automatically happening automatically without me having to choose anything else. Yeah. And recognize that was a bunch of bullshit in the first place that we bought. Now, what can we create together? What if you could create 100 times more? What if there was 100 times or 1,000 times or 10,000 times more happiness available, more creation, more of somebody having your back, more of somebody really adoring you, more great sex than you ever thought you could have in a billion years? Like, what if these things are what's actually available that nobody's been looking at because everybody's been bummed that they don't automatically have the fantasy by stepping into the box?
Totally. I really like what you said. Like you said, relationship in this reality is not sustainable. Like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And relationship beyond this reality does exist, but you have to like function as you.
Yeah. And you got to be willing to be so different as to not make yourself wrong for not being able to fit in the box, and not make your partner wrong for not being able to fit in the box, but for anything. You need to, basically, and somebody asked in the comments, if you're already in a long-term relationship, can you turn it into a creationship? And the answer is fuck yes. But you've got to be willing to be, basically the way that primarily occurs by getting out of judgment of you or them. And if you have any idea of how judgment feels, you know how tough it is because you know how right you feel when you're making somebody else wrong. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, most people would rather be right than free. And that's the biggest thing you've got to get over if you're going to actually have a creationship that actually works, that can be creative dynamically for both of you, if you will allow it to be, if you will do the work of getting out of the judgment. And then you go, and then of course, the next part is, well, what about my partner? Yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with your partner. And you go, wait, but I'm in a relationship. I know, but guess what? You're in a relationship with you. And if you truly have intimacy with you, honoring, trust, allowance, vulnerability, and gratitude, what anybody else does is not relevant.
So true.
So that's a different dynamically different place and space from which to function, but it is a place and space in which you have no problems anymore. You have no needs. And if we go back to that thing that you were talking about not making your partner relevant, where you were asking, hey, what can I what can I be today to have them not be relevant to me? And you also want to add, and not care whether I'm relevant to them, or not need to be relevant to them.
Nice.
Because if you look, and then now let's look at that for a moment, just that one concept, and let's compare it to what we're told is the greatest relationship, which is the way relationship works here. Oh, that's cool. I'm happy I found this. It's changed so much since watching the podcast. Yay!
That's so cool.
We're happy you found it too. So if we take that idea of not being relevant and not being significant in our partner's life, and we contrast that with what everybody is going for, or what we've been taught and what we've been conditioned to from the moment we could breathe, okay?
Yeah.
Actually, before we could breathe, from the moment we were, conceived, let's say. So that right there, what most people do is they prove to their partner how much they love their partner by whom and what they're willing to exclude from their lives. So, I really love you if I don't talk to my friends anymore. I really love you if I don't go running anymore, which I used to love. I really love you if I don't explore all those things late at night, internet search wise, that I just use. And I'm not talking porn even. Okay. That you can do without. But all, the things that used to light me up. Remember when you and I met? Okay. This is scenario here. This is not actuality. Okay. But I'm just playing this role playing. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember when you and I met and you were so excited because I would stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning, just searching on all kinds of different things. And I get all this information and then we talk about it the next day, or we'd have a conversation with some friends and I'd have all this information. It was so much fun for me and it really lit me up. And well, you know how I don't do it anymore? That's because I love you.
Right.
I don't do it anymore. It's because I didn't want to interrupt your sleep. And it's, and I know you want me to spend more time with you so I can prove to you that I love you, which is great. If you're trying to prove something to somebody, stop. Okay. Because you're trying to prove to them either something, we always try to prove the opposite of what we believe we are. Okay. Or what we actually are. Or we try to prove when somebody refuses to receive what we're already being. So if I have to prove to you that I love you, it's because you're not receiving that I love you right now. So all of you out there who've been doing that, will you stop it now, please? Okay. Like I got engaged 24, 25, Jesus fucking Christ. How old am I?
Life is so weird.
I'm depressed. I gotta go. I got engaged to my fiance because we'd been together for almost 3 years, and I knew she needed me to prove my love to her. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't have a desire to get engaged, but I did love to be the romantic. So that part, and I got these little rings. I got these little bears. I got her ring, but it was a cubic zirconia ring because I had absolutely no money, or maybe less than no money. And I put the little ring on the little bear's paw, right? Oh. And I had these 2 little bears, and I took her to a really nice dinner, what I could afford. Took her to a really nice dinner, and then I took her up over Santa Barbara, over the most beautiful, this is one of the most beautiful views in the world, this view from Santa Barbara, and nobody knows about it but me, except a few people in Santa Barbara. And we were up there, and I didn't put the thing on. I had the 2 bears. I had the ring in my pocket, and I brought out the 2 bears, and I said, and she she thought I was giving her 2 bears, and she was so excited, right? And I said, you see how much this bear loves this bear? Well, I love you this much. And I got on one knee and I pulled out the ring. I'm like, will you marry me? And she was like, oh my God, yes. But from the moment when I started thinking about asking her to marry me, I felt like my heart I felt all of my organs contracting. I felt like I had acid in my veins. And I thought, okay. And I knew not to do it, but I couldn't not because I knew she needed it. I was trying to prove to her that I loved her. She had no willingness to receive that I actually loved her and cared for her that much, which is what a lot of us do. And don't even get started with what I wasn't willing to receive. Okay. It's not like, I'm not saying I was willing to receive all the caring she wasn't. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that when you go to prove something, what you'll do is you'll tend to up the ante and take stronger action or deliver more, right, or cut off your arms and legs more to try to prove to them. If you're doing that, it's because they refuse to receive it. And here's the other difficult part is, they could receive it, but they won't, which makes you think it's something you're doing or not doing, or being or not doing, that is keeping them from receiving what you're trying to gift to them. But that's not what it is. They cannot receive it. In this lifetime, they cannot receive it. Nothing you do will make them receive it. So here we are, back to being not relevant in their lives. If you look at what we do when we're in the creation of our relationships, not being relevant to each other and not being significant to each other is what truly creates a great relationship. And the few couples I know that have a truly great relationship, neither one of them is significant to each other, but they thoroughly enjoy each other. They thoroughly adore each other. And they have the 5 elements of intimacy with themselves. So whatever their partner does is what their partner does. But because they're not over here going, you should do this, you should do this, their partner naturally, because of the way they're wired, gravitates toward doing things that contribute to them in the relationship. And they both create more because they're not making the other person the source. Because when we make another person significant or relevant, we make them the source for whatever it is, for loving me, for lusting after me, for touching my body, for making money, for making us, and the difficulty is we spend so much energy making other people the source that we forget what we're even capable of. And then we resent them for not providing enough. And what we're really doing is resenting us for not being enough, to where we actually require them to provide it, because we know that's not true, because we don't actually have the needs that we pretend that we do so that we can maintain the relationships that other people require us to maintain, so we can appear to be relevant and significant in their lives, and they can appear to be relevant and significant in ours. So if we were willing to no longer have our partner as significant, instead of as significant other, if we were willing to have an enjoyable other, what else would be possible? If you're willing to have your partner as your enjoyable other, and when you notice you're making them significant, you're getting frustrated because they're not being this for you and not doing this for you and not validating you in this way. And what if you went, what if I didn't need them at all? What if I just could enjoy them?
I love it. I mean, it's just such a different energy. And like the questions that you asked at the 14-minute mark, which I can't remember right now.
2 minutes, 30 seconds. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they were, if a person was going into a relationship and they at least kept asking those questions, it would rearrange the quantum entanglements so that something easier could show up. It wouldn't be, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but it would allow space for something different. So those questions give me hope.
Well, luckily we have a Monica. So I'm awesome. Thanks to the Monica. So what choice before the relationship, and I think this is the ones, what choices am I looking to have as a result of this relationship? What choices do I know I'm eliminating by being in this relationship? And when you're in it, what choices did I think I was getting by this relationship that I don't think I have? And what choices did I eliminate that I'm not acknowledging? And then for that particular one, what can I now choose that I thought had been taken from me?
Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
Oh, I love your unabashed reactions. It's so good. And one of the wonderful things of seeing you go through this journey and having this podcast and having these conversations and exploring this for you is seeing you get to that. Because one of the beautiful things about you is that just you're you. You respond however. You'll be like, oh my God, or whatever, like that right there. That's the beauty of you. And he said, Julia's representing all of our reactions. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. And it's so cool. It's so cool because if you look at whatever was in the intervening years from whatever, before relationships, marriage, whatever, what I'm trying to say is what seems to be occurring for you, looking from the outside, of course, is an ability like just get to be you more authentic, rather than because of all the relationship, whatever, because of everything. It's like before you can even laugh at something, you have to go through this entire maze of making sure it's appropriate, or the effect you're trying to create with it, or whatever, rather than, hi, that was funny. Oh my God.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Just like layers and layers and layers. And it's like, oh God. And you're so weird and whatever. But yeah, no, totally. And I've always said, if everybody got that you knew us better than we knew ourselves, they'd be in good shape.
Oh, that's when you only get when you get, and people will hear that and they'll be like, don't give up, and no, I don't want you to give up any part of you for anybody ever,
no. Just sometimes that comes from the place of where I've definitely fought your awareness. And when I realized just how dynamically you had my back, and how dynamically you have the back of every person that you facilitate, it's like, okay, and it is, you have to trust yourself in order to trust the Dain too. So that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that is a whole other thing. And thank you for that acknowledgement. And it speaks also, though, to the whole area of relationships, because if you trust you, that changes the entire landscape.
Yeah.
You no longer look through a lens of what somebody's trying to do to you or against you. You look from a place of, does this work for me and the relationship and the future I'd like to create?
Awesome. That's so awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much, Dain.
Thank you.
This has been really a journey. This has
wow.
been fun.
It's been a hell of a conversation. It's been a hell of a session for people.
Right? Dude, that's so good. It's so good. And somebody was asking, like, what book can we read that would which book or class do you recommend to work with this energy of trophy wife? Well, the lady book is the obvious option, but I'm also a really big fan of Salon de Femme. I don't know if it gets as much attention as the lady book. It's quite a long read, and but it is like through and through tools and processes that will just clean you out, man, and like change the energy of things. So it's a very fully packed journey. This book.
I like how you're like beating them over the head with it. Get Salon de Femme. Get Salon de Femme. Get Salon de Femme.
That's totally how I feel about it. I'm like, if y'all had it, you'd love it. And there, the fireworks went off.
I got my face out of the way enough to where it's like, yeah, it's good.
Oh my God.
Oh, and also I want to suggest Return of the Gentleman as an addition to that. And the Gentleman, there we go. Just beat him with that one too. And also the Gentleman's Club that Gary wrote. Oh yeah, great. And then also Simone Milasas and Brennan Watt wrote a book called Relationship. Are You Sure You Want One?
They're right here. My access, my bookshelf.
This is awesome. Yeah, so there are lots, but we also, there's so many resources in so many different ways. And our target with that is to give you the freedom that you knew should be possible that you haven't been able to get to yet.
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who's listening. I can feel everybody's engagement and excitement and
Yeah.
enthusiasm for this new energy and just all these tools and for the conversation. So thank you guys for being here and contributing, and to our translators and the amazing Monica and Laura who ran the stream. So thank you guys, and thank you, Dain. And really, how does it get better? Let's really create something different, and we are.
Thanks, Julia. Thanks, y'all.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.